Good morning. It's great to be here in Milan to feel some sunshine. Thank you for inviting the Global Alliance to Milan. There are 40 people from every continent who have come to our annual general meeting. So from Asia, from Africa, from South America, North America, and I think that one of the temptations and why I've got so many people is because of the promise of a wonderful culinary experience in Milan. So thank you very much indeed for inviting us here. Your reputation goes ahead of you. So we're talking about a serious business. Food is vital to life. It's one of the first level requirements in Maslow's hierarchy. Without food, we cannot live. It's also part of our national identity. So in France, I am known as le roast beef. Okay. And here in Italy, I know that the things that come to mind are wonderful olive oil, pasta, pizza. All of us are defined nationally by food. But it's also part of our personal identity. And the food choices that we make are very deliberate, and they make statements about us. So some choose to be vegetarian or vegan. And it dictates a whole lifestyle. So food is absolutely inimicable. It's absolutely essential to the way that we see ourselves and the way that we view the world. It's also, as we know, a massive economic contributor to our various nations. Again, in the UK, which I know best, 125 billion euros is the worth of the food industry. It's the largest manufacturing industry in the UK. So I can only imagine the size and importance of it to Italy. It must be several times that. But we also know that we face a number of challenges in the food industry, and a lot of those have communication dimensions. We know that by the year 2050, there will be 9 billion people living in the world, 75% of them in cities. So what does a sustainable urban food economy look like? We know that climate change is making agriculture challenging. Increasing water stress, according to the World Economic Forum, is one of the 10 most serious issues facing the world together today, and we know that desertization, all sorts of climate change challenges which are bearing down on the food industry. We know about issues of sustainability in the food supply, and we know that the solution is not just about producing more food, but we have to be smarter about logistics and about the way that we produce food. And we have to be alert as well to the tensions and the choices that we have to make. So my brother worked in Zimbabwe for many years, working with subsistence farmers who were trying to get their produce to first world countries. They depended on that. And yet in the first world, we're concerned about air miles. So how do you reconcile tensions like that? And how do you get the debate going on issues like that? And we also know there are growing inequalities in food. I'm very lucky. I can eat whatever I want and I don't put an ounce on. But we know that in the West, obesity is a real issue, and yet more and more people are starving. So what sort of conversations do we need to start about that? So what's the role of communication then? Well, most of you are professional communicators in this world, and I would say that I believe our responsibility is to be absolutely profound. We have to start conversations about really important things to do with food, and I think that they operate at 3 levels. First of all, at the international level, it's people like us who can start forums for debate about important issues, and today is a beautiful example of that, on issues around food. In Kenya, in November, we're going to be talking at the Global Alliance with the Kenyan Association about issues around agriculture and sustainability. We as a profession have a responsibility to bring these matters to the public attention and to start the public debate. We know there's a difference between knowing what we should do and doing what we know we should do. So how do we make progress in that difficult conversation? So internationally, we've got a role. Nationally, obviously we have a role, working with governments to ensure that there are informed debates in our own countries about tough choices. We know that on the one hand we have food industries that contribute enormous amounts to our economies. Do they produce the right foods? Are there questions about what's on our supermarket shelves that we ought to ask? When are we going to really get to grips with tough discussions about issues of obesity and well-being that are causing problems elsewhere? And these are things that are not politically easy to do, because we know that enormous numbers of jobs are at stake in this industry. But we need to know increasingly what are the facts about food. And that is a discussion that needs to be generated at the national level. And then at company level, really important, there's also are in charge of company communications, drive some of the thinking about what real transparency means, and I mean radical transparency, about issues on the supply chain. So when are our meat pies filled with horse meat? What is the provenance of our food? What is the use of palm oil in certain products? Where does it come from? Where is the impact being felt? How do we manufacture our food? How much fertilizers is used in the generation of our food? How much CEO is used? That's all, sorry, CO2 is used. So those are all things that we need to drive the discussion on transparency about. And that requires us as communicators to generate difficult internal conversations. And it requires us as communicators to be bold about saying we have to be truthful about this, and we have to be honest with people who buy our products and people down our supply chain. We also, I think, as communicators, need to stimulate the debate about being efficient in food production and reducing waste. We know that a third of food is wasted in the supply chain as it goes to supermarkets. That is wicked. It's no less than wicked. And we need to talk about sensible policies with our people in our food chain, but also within our companies, about what is going to be done about this issue. And we're also, as communicators, I think, responsible in our companies for sensible conversations on nutrition and on lifestyles. And that's tough, again, conversations about product ranges. And those are things that I think it is absolutely vital that we get involved in. We have to stop producing certain things. And that costs. It costs in lots of ways. Who is going to start the debate? I think it's down to us. Last year, a new form of reporting was introduced in the world. It's called International Integrated Reporting, a new way of corporate reporting. And one of our sponsors, Coca-Cola, was one of the initiators of this. And at the heart of integrated reporting is a simple philosophy. We want you to report on your companies in such a way that you are honest about what you take from the environment, financially, from your people, and we want you to demonstrate that you have added value to that. And your value as an organisation will be judged in a holistic way. That form of reporting was driven partly by communicators who are at the table developing that form of reporting. And I think that's something for us to be proud of. And so I would encourage all of you, because we have a right, now that this is a legal form of reporting, to get involved in those difficult conversations. So as I said, ultimately, food is the stuff of life. It's as necessary as breath. As a global body of communicators, we need to talk about things that count, not only about things that can be counted. Getting food and sustainably right is something that counts, and we should be there. Thank you very much.